What's up guys, this is DZ once again with you. Today we have a new video on Middle Ages Never Happened, brought up to you by Half As Interesting. That's their channel, go check the little link in the description. Amazing videos. And what is Middle Ages? Middle Ages is the history of Europe, which lasted 15th to 15th century. It began with the fall of Western Roman Empire and merged into Renaissance and Age of Discovery. So let's jump into it and begin this. There might be a few ads. So
this video was made possible by Skillshare. Start learning for free for 2 months by being one of the first 1,000 to sign up at skl.sh/HAI33. Now here at...
And there comes the ad.
Grammarly is a browser extension that provides in-depth writing feedback. The free product provides...
Just gonna keep it down. We could skip. Yes, guys, let's...
Here at HAI, we don't want to spread conspiracy theories, but we do want to get lots of views in order to further our never-ending quest for money, power, and URL extensions that give us 2 free months of Skillshare. And so when we come across a conspiracy theory that we want to tell you about because it's hilarious, we're in a conundrum. How can we make a video on it while maintaining our status as the preeminent source of super accurate, hard-hitting factual content on YouTube? So today, here's the plan. We're going to tell you about this very fun and very insane conspiracy theory, and then we're going to very clearly explain why it's not true, and along the way, we're going to learn a whole bunch about calendars. That's right, everyone, calendars. The coolest, sexiest thing since the abacus. Alright.
Let me guess, this guy is single. I gotta say. Just say.
The theory, which is known by the super credible sounding name the Phantom Time Theory, goes like this. The Middle Ages didn't happen. They were made up. That's right, according to this guy, Heribert Tillig, whose name sounds like a piece of IKEA furniture, the years 614 to 911 simply did not happen, but were instead invented by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and possibly the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII, because, I mean, if you're gonna do a conspiracy theory, go big or go home. Now, you might ask, why would 2 kings and a pope invent 3 centuries of night, pillaging, and cholera? Well, according to Illig, Otto, Constantine, and the Pope were actually alive in the early 700s, but wanted to live in the year 1000 AD because, and this is true, round numbers are cool. Plus, they could create a fake historical record full of their own personal Charlemagne-based fanfiction that would strengthen Otto III's claim to the Holy Roman Empire. The evidence, and I'm using the word evidence very lightly, for the Phantom Time hypothesis lies on 3 pillars. First, there isn't a lot of existing archaeological evidence from the supposed period of time from 614 to 911.
Yes, because it was the Dark Ages. What evidence do you need? It was the Dark Ages. So.
Second, 10th century Western Europe is littered with Roman architecture, which Illig says doesn't make sense given that the Roman Empire fell in 475 AD, supposedly over 400 years prior. And the final reason has to do with calendars. That's right, folks, try to hold in your excitement, because it's finally calendar time. Now, the Earth rotates 365.24219 times each year, which is pretty close to 365.25, so we round up and pretend it's 365 and a quarter, which means every 4 years we have an extra day, which we account for with a leap day. But the thing is, it's not actually 365.25, it's 365.24219, which is 0.00781 less. That may not sound like a lot, but every 128 years, that 0.00781 adds up to a day, which means that every 128 years, we should subtract a day to keep on track. But the Julian calendar didn't account for that, so between when it was introduced in 45 BC and when the new Gregorian calendar was introduced in 1582 to fix the problem, 1,627 years had passed, or about 13 sets of 128 years, which meant that the Julian calendar should have been behind by about 13 days.
Guys, this is a lot of math, but I'm digging into it, so let's see. Will you believe this? Because so far, it gets you a valid point, you know.
But it turned out, and try to stop your brain from exploding here, the Julian calendar was actually only off by about 10 days, and because each of those missing days takes 128 years to accumulate, That means there's 300 something years unaccounted for. By the way, if you're wondering, the Gregorian calendar fixes the problem by skipping a leap day every 100 years, but then adding it back in every 400 years, which still means we're behind by a day every 1,000 years, but the world probably only has a few decades left anyways, so, c'est la vie. So that's the theory. It's probably
That's another conspiracy theory. Just saying.
given a big Now let's talk about why it's not true. First of all, even if there isn't a ton of archaeological evidence, there still is some, and we have reliable ways of dating these artifacts through both carbon dating and looking at tree rings, which can also be called dendrological dating if you're pretentious. Second, the Roman architecture in 10th century Europe. So, yeah, have you noticed how there's Roman columns and arches, like, everywhere? The White House, Buckingham Palace, the Arc de Triomphe, Townsville Hall from the Powerpuff Girls. There's still Roman architecture being built today, so yeah, people also built it in the 900s.
People just build it. But we know, like, if you could restore it, you could continue to restore it, and that's what I believe this, like, they're trying to get to the point, that it could be restored. You could take artifacts, even, like, it could be 1,000 years old. You could still manage, if you go to the museum, they have, like, so many things, but they keep restoring, they have professions on their hands, so these things could be restored.
Third, the calendars. For an apparent calendarophemist, Illig weirdly didn't realize that the Gregorian calendar wasn't trying to reset things to 45 BC, when the Julian calendar was introduced, but rather to 325 AD, which is when this thing called the Council of Nicaea met and did some calendar fixing. They didn't reset things all the way back, which accounts for the missing 300-odd years of date shifting. And believe it or not, there are even stronger pieces of evidence that this whole thing is impossible. Most notably, astronomy. You see, certain astronomical events are highly predictable. For example, for complicated astronomy reasons that I totally definitely understand but don't have the time to explain, we know with absolute certainty that there must have been a solar eclipse over Campania, Italy between 7 and 8 a.m. on April 30th, exactly 1,961 years ago. And we know that a guy named Pliny the Elder recorded exactly that in 59 AD, which means that 59 AD must have been 1,961 years ago. If the phantom time hypothesis were true, that eclipse would have happened in 238 BC, and Pliny the Elder couldn't have recorded it because he wasn't elder at all at that point, or even
Too much math. Too much math. I'll explain it. I think I get it.
distant. If that didn't make sense to you, maybe this will. All of the rest of the world also records that 614 to 911 happened. Otto and the Pope would have to convince ancient Arab writers to make up Muhammad, convince the English to fabricate most of the Anglo-Saxon period, and convince the Chinese to invent the entire Tang dynasty.
But also, each of these people had their own calendars. Arabs have own calendar, the Chinese had their own calendar, so don't know where this gets in.
Which is a level of coordination that seems unlikely, especially considering I can't even figure out how to do a multi-person Zoom call.
You know that our calendar is behind, I believe, Gregor's calendar by, 300 years? So, you know what I'm saying? This could be true, like, our calendar is behind, like, European calendar, I'm gonna say. Just saying, just throwing it there. Could be true, because
if you're on Zoom calls a lot because you're stuck at home, you might also, like me, be getting pretty bored. Well, I've got the perfect thing for you. This great class on making cinema-style iPhone filmmaking by Niles Gray and Caleb Babcock that is available right now on Skillshare. Perfect for feeding your creative side. Skillshare, of course, is an
is this advert? Let's check it. Is this advert? Yes, it is advert. So guys, what do you think? Let me explain a little bit, yeah? So the reason why this couldn't be true is because you recorded dates. I get that. But one of the mistaken things about this thing, Arabs did have their own calendar, but their own calendar. So there is a possibility this could be true. Because don't forget, Europe and they just need to convince the rest of Asia. And if we know that in history, Asia did have a lot of Arab culture there. So this means that this theory is likely to be true. So they might have said the stars. The only convincing thing is that the recording of the stars. But unless someone comes to me and says that, for example, a Middle Eastern calendar also recorded that, but they were aware of this, then I would believe. because so far, like Middle Eastern calendar, until this day, they do have their own calendars. Yes, I know slowly that most people don't follow that calendar. They follow the most like 2020 calendar, but they do have their own calendar, and I believe this theory could be actually true. I genuinely think this theory has possible truths in it. So tell me what you think in the comment down below. Don't forget to, yes guys, if did you know that if you click that subscribe button, it turns another color. Did you know that? Click it. Let's see how it happens. And see you next time. Don't forget to check their link in the description for more videos. I'm gonna make more videos tomorrow. There's a special video coming up. Hopefully I will be done with it by tomorrow. If not, there might be a 1-day delay, but I'll keep the updates with you. So thank you for watching.